Welcome, my name is Dean Harris, and welcome to History 103, the second class in the series of European history classes that COCC teaches. Last year and for previous years, for quite a few years, this class was basically a Western civilization class, and there are probably a couple people in this class who took 101 and 102, which used to be Western Civ classes. This past year, the history department decided to get rid of Western civilization classes and basically transform them into European history classes. Why did we do that? One, because other than about the first couple weeks of 101, the entire series took up the history of Europe. Even if we're talking about the colonies in South America, North America, Africa, Asia, it's pretty much all about European history. Plus there's just the idea of, if you teach a Western civilization class, there's an idea that somehow you can isolate the West from the East. And if you've taken 101 or 102, or maybe a world history class, you discover pretty quickly that regions are never isolated. Even from the beginning of time, because the cradle of civilization resides in the Middle East. Well, the Middle East is kind of at that interchange of Europe, Asia, and Africa. So from the very beginning, there was exchange between what we might call the East and the West. So we just kind of went with reality and decided to change this to European, a series of European history classes. So what are some of the topics that we're going to be talking about in this class? We'll be talking about the Industrial Revolution. We'll be talking about political ideologies and the rise of mass politics in the 19th century. We'll be discussing the invention of the nation state. Yes, the nation state has not been around forever. It's really only about 160 years old or so. Of course, if you're going to be talking about the 20th century, you have to talk about wars, right? First World War, Second World War, and the Cold War. We'll talk about decolonization, all right, when Europeans had to free the subjects of their colonies. And then we'll end with globalization, which will bring us up to the present. A couple of things about the class, how I've structured this class so that we can best present and learn the information we're covering. There's information in the classroom about the textbook, and you can find that down at the bookstore. You can also find a reserved copy in the library. You can buy one, you can rent one online. For those individuals who decide to maybe go online and rent one, and it's going to be a while before you get your hands on it, there is a PDF copy of the first chapter we read in the classroom. So for week one, you could get by with not having a hard copy of your textbook, because you can just pull down the PDF copy. In this class, a week is going to run from Monday through Sunday. Of course, during this week one, the first day of the class is on a Sunday, because I believe you can access this class on Sunday. But whatever. Future weeks, a week runs from Monday through Sunday. The reason why I do that is that gives you a full weekend to complete your assignments, most of the assignments. So typically when you write a paper for this class, it'll be due on Sunday. So you can take all your Saturday and all your Sunday to write that paper if you wish. So I've generally structured this class to have two kinds of weeks, and in general they alternate between the 2 weeks. There is a discussion week, in which the focus of the week is discussion boards, where you interact with your peers in the class, and then there are research weeks, when you don't interact with your peers, but you take a quiz over the chapter, and you focus on writing a short research paper. So if you go to the classroom, you'll see that you can view the week 1 and week 2 assignments. And week 1 is a discussion week, so you'll find there 4 discussion boards that you'll need to participate in. Be sure and read the instructions for the discussion boards, because the way you participate differs from each discussion board to the other. Basically, for 2 of those 4 boards, you're going to post a lengthier response. For the other 2, you're going to be merely responding to a peer. I'm not going to go into detail on that, but do read the instructions so that you're not doing too much work or you're not doing too little work for the week. So discussion weeks, there's only the discussion boards. There's no quiz, there's no paper to write. The other kind of week is the research week, and in those weeks you have a quiz over the chapter, and then you have a paper to write. The quiz is ordinarily going to be due on Saturday, and the papers are due on Sunday. So as I said, you have that whole weekend to write the paper. We will also have a midterm and a final, right? So it's a very kind of a predictable sort of pattern, all right? Sometimes there's a gap in which I have 2 research weeks in a row, right? But in general, by the time we get to the end of the term, half of the weeks will have been discussion weeks, and half of the weeks will have been research weeks. Let's see, a couple other things. We will be reading basically a chapter a week, right? And based on the student evals from past classes, you can expect to work anywhere from 5 to 8 hours per week on this class. That includes reading, writing, quizzes, those sorts of things. Varies from student to student, all right? But that's kind of a general average. You will be writing in this class, assuming you do all the assignments, about 20 pages over the term. Basically, that's about a little bit under 2 pages of material, so 600 words every week. So if you like writing, you're a good writer, stay in the class. If you're not such a great writer, you're going to develop into a better writer during this class. But just want to warn you to let you know that there is quite a bit of writing in this class. Let's see. Along the left margin of the class, of course, you'll find the weekly assignments, but you'll also find links to the course syllabus, policies on plagiarism, submitting late assignments, the course outcomes, a way to email me if you have questions. So be sure and check out the links in the left margin there. If you do have questions, you can email me those questions. But I do want to encourage you, if you have a question, the answer to which you think might benefit a peer, then there is a thread in the discussion boards for course questions. And you can ask me a question there and I'll answer it, and then all your peers can benefit from my knowledge. Let's see, questions. Okay, so last thing is the week 1 requirement, attendance requirement. So whether this is the first face-to-face class or an online class, the college has a week 1 attendance requirement. And basically it's that you need to attend all of the week 1 classes to maintain your seat into week 2. So that makes sense for a face-to-face class, right? You've got to come to all the classes. How that works for an online class is you have to complete some assignments by a certain date to keep your seat. So there are instructions on the week 1 link there, which you can read and find out. Basically, what you do is you have to post 1 initial response to a discussion and then 1 peer reply to another discussion by the end of the day, Thursday. And end of the day means 11:59 p.m. Right, so basically, to keep your seat into week 2, whether you are on the wait list or already registered for the class, you have to complete those 2 items by Thursday, 11:59 p.m. I think that's kind of all of the introductory stuff. So make sure you get some kind of access to Chapter 19, which is the chapter that we read for this week. Any questions, send them along to me. But enjoy the material and History 103, and I'll yap at you next week.